Good day, squires. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd start this video by saying I'm sorry that I've not been uploading loads to YouTube currently. I've not even been streaming much currently, to be fair, because my schedule has been extremely busy with sort of things outside of the channel at the moment, so I do apologise for that. That should all change though come early next year. Once we get past sort of Christmas and New Year's, it should be a lot easier. But I've been very busy with work and other related things. But yeah, no, with that out of the way, guys, I thought I would make a little video on something that I was talking about the other night when I was playing some Deeprock on Twitch. So some of you may have already heard this. You might have not maybe taken it in or something like that, so, you know, stick around. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Deeprock recently, and I've started doing what I would normally do on MechWarrior Online and most other games. I sort of give it constructive criticism, and I always comment on the things that I think this game could do with changing or adding or, you know, things like that. So in no way am I saying this game is bad. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that there are things to improve. So with that out of the way, the thing that I want to talk about on this game is a bit of a glaring problem, I'd say, and that is these perks here. If you bear with me 2 seconds, I think, yes, it's gonna crash for a couple seconds there. There we go. Because I was tabbed out. So anyway, yeah, these are the things I sort of want to talk about. Perks. So this game, since it's been around, we've had, you know, new guns added, we've got overclocks, we've got plenty of customization in terms of, like, both cosmetic and, I suppose, like, weaponry. The only thing that we don't see yet is, like, attachments to guns, which would be very nice if you get, like, attachments and things like that. But, you know, it is what it is, and I'm not really too bothered because we do have quite a fair amount of customization anyway, but more customization is always welcome. Ghost ship. So, you know, if you want to put more in, put more in. So we've seen guns, we've seen, you know, obviously the new Season 3 gear, you know, new grenades and things like that, you know, new missions, new biomes, new enemies, all that jazz. And there's these. Like I said, there are perks. And the perks, to me, I feel like, you know, if anyone from Ghost Ship watches this video, I highly doubt it, but if you guys do, please work on the perks for Season 4. The reason I say that is because the perks that you've currently got on the game are very niche. They're useful, but they're very niche. And not only that, but you've got perk points. Let me quickly show you. You have perk points which you can't use. And I'm sure a lot of people have already noticed this. So you get available perk points, 59, and I've already bought every possible perk there is in the game. I know I'm not even that high a rank, and there's probably people out there that have got like literal hundreds of perk points available, and there's nothing else to buy. So I don't know if this was a sort of a long time plan. I don't know if you guys were planning on adding new stuff down the road, and that's why you can get more perk points than there are perks. But I think you need to work on the perks, guys. So going through the perks we've currently got on the game, I find, like I said, these perks to be very niche. The ones that are in the game are useful, but there's only a few that are actually useful, well, generally useful, because every perk that you get is very specific to a very specific circumstance and place. So going through the passive perks, Deep Pockets allows you to hold 15 more valuables. Sort of useful, but not really. It doesn't help you survive, it doesn't help you do really anything, because you get 15 more valuables. That's great and all. 15 more nitra maybe if you go and mine some nitra. But let's be real. You're going to mine nitra, you're probably, or any sort of mineral actually, you're probably going to call the mule over to you so that you can dump it in the mule and pick up the rest and put the rest in the mule. So really holding 15 more is not a big deal. I suppose you can combo that with you know, bigger mineral bag, and you get an extra 5, so you get an extra 20, but again, it's not really very useful. I don't really tend to use that. Veteran Depositor. So for this one, you can deposit minerals into the mule 50% faster, and you take 30% damage reduction whilst you're within 7 meters of the mule. Now this, or other deposit points, I should say, sorry. This one is kind of good. You have to be within 7 meters for the second part to work. The second part is rather useful. 30% damage reduction. Yeah, that's good. But you've got to be very close. Maybe not literally right on top of the mule, but you've got to be pretty close. So it's kind of useful, but not massively. And the 50% deposit in minerals faster, I mean, I think the game really deposit it quick enough anyway. And the only reason I can see for why you would want to deposit minerals quicker is that if you're being attacked. And the way I see it is, if you've got a ginormous swarm on you, you shouldn't really be depositing minerals. That's just the way I see it. I feel like that's the kind of stuff you do outside of combat, not in combat, if that makes sense. If you've got like shit tons of enemies coming after you, or maybe you're the last person alive, things like that, you shouldn't really be depositing minerals. I guess if you're the last person alive, then it could come in handy if you're running out of ammo and you can quickly dump it in there and get another drop or something like that. Again, very niche, no. Not massively useful. It's not like a straight buff or anything. Sweet Tooth gets an extra 30% more healing from consuming red sugar. Now, for that one, sort of useful. Again, quite niche, no, because if you break a red sugar vein, majority of the time the red sugar vein's got enough red sugar to heal quite a decent amount of your health back, if not all of your health. So 30% more, sort of useful, but again, not terribly useful in my honest opinion. An extra 20% movement speed for 10 seconds after consuming red sugar. Movement speed is cool, but it's only for 10 seconds, and you have to keep consuming red sugar, and it's not a permanent set. You know, you're not getting permanently 20% more movement speed. If you did, that would be cool. Once you consume red sugar for once in a mission, what they could do, or what you guys could do, if you are watching it, again, I bet you're not, is you could change that to once you have consumed a certain threshold of red sugar, i.e. maybe you've got to restore 100% worth of health points in a mission, and the bar fills up, you have a permanent 20% movement speed for the rest of the mission. That would be cool. Be a little bit annoying, because you've got to fill a bar to get it, but it's better than having it for 10 seconds. So, again, Sweet Tooth, very niche, particular uses. It's not a straight up buff. Resupplier. So you can resupply from a drop pod 50% faster. Again, that's kind of the same as the veteran depositor. So again, I don't see why you'd be rearming whilst you're in the middle of killing things. I would do that outside of killing things. I would drop that every time you take out like a wave of enemies. Once it's a little break in the action, drop something, rearm. 50% faster. Again, it is sort of useful if you're the last person alive. If you're the last person alive and they're all swarming you, you might, and you've got no ammo, you might want to quickly pick the stuff up and you know, get back into the fight. But again, it's niche, because you have to wait until you're the last person alive for that to be terribly useful, otherwise it's not really. Or if you're just trying to pinch all the ammo and stuff from a drop. Regain an extra 25% health as part of that as well when you resupply. That's kind of useful. It's not too bad. It's not awful. And obviously when you resupply, you instantly reload. So it's got a layer of different abilities in that. But again, it's kind of niche, especially even the resupply. Weapons will reload after you've resupplied, because like at the same time, it doesn't take that long to reload your guns. It takes you a couple of seconds at most. And I don't see the point of it really. Especially if you're taking something like Born Ready, because you'll reload your guns after 5 seconds, or you're just going to have them in your hands, which means you can just reload them anyway. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal to me. Unstoppable. This one, again, it's got its uses, but again, it's niche. It's all niche. This is kind of why I made this video, guys. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I'm not moaning at the game. I'm not saying the game's terrible. I'm just saying that this is an area that needs some attention, is what I'm saying. So, with Unstoppable, environmental slowdowns only affect you, well, it's reduced by 50%. So it only affects you 50% of what it currently does. And you move 25% faster whilst carrying heavy objects. Carrying heavy objects and moving 25% faster, I really don't care for at all, because the only way I can see that being useful is if you're, again, fighting something. And if you're fighting something, what are you doing carrying an object? No. Put it down, shoot those things. That's the way I see it. And the environmental slowdown, yeah, it's not awful, but it's not great either. It's somewhat useful, but again, niche, because you need to be on the right map, in the right place for that to be effective. So the next one is Vampire, and this is one that I do kind of like. It's not, again, the best perk in the world, but it is useful if you can combo it with some other stuff. So Vampire gives you an extra 5. You regain 5 health when you kill a medium-sized or larger creature. Now, the way I normally use this is you can combo Vampire with one of his active perks. You can combo it with Iron Will. So Iron Will is a perk which only has, or an active perk that only has one use. So you die, you can get up for 12 seconds, but then after 12 seconds it will kill you unless you have regained any health in those 12 seconds. Now what you can do is when you die and you go down, most of the time you'll find grunts and things will stay on your body and continue to attack your body. So what you can do is you can activate Iron Will, you can get up, you can then slam the ground with your pickaxe, get a kill, hopefully, get a kill, regain some health, and then you basically have turned it into a permanent revive as long as you don't get hit again, or, you know, something like that, or even, like, down yourself by jumping off something high or whatever. So you sort of turned it into a permanent revive. So it's kind of useful, Vampire. So that's the only reason I sort of bring it. Strong Arm, you throw flares 50%, with 50% more force, so you can throw them further. Again, useful, but not considerably useful, because a lot of the time, like, you're not going to be shooting at massive distances. And on top of that, if you're playing as well, I suppose this is if you're playing as a scout. If you're playing as a scout, you don't need to worry whatsoever because you've got the flare gun in the first place. But again, it's a bit of a niche use for it. You know, as long as you're like taking your time and you're not like lobbing things miles away, you'll be fine anyway. As long as you're not like running through the mission, you'll be fine. You don't need to throw it 50% further. Gems and other heavy objects get 20% bonus throwing force. Again, a bit naff because it's not really all that useful. The only time I can see myself carrying heavy objects or throwing heavy objects is when I'm not in a fight. So you've got all the time in the world to get it to where you need it. So again, not too bothered. Friendly. This one's just friendly fire. Both you dish out and take 50% less friendly fire. Useful, but you're kind of, at the same time, you're not really helping. You're not really making your character any better. You're sort of just making the team less likely to get downed. Now, if you're going to use that, I feel like there's a problem there. You're either shooting your teammates, or they're shooting you. So, you shouldn't be doing that. It's not really all that useful. Now, another useful one, or from the ones we've currently got at the moment, one of the ones I would pick, is Elemental Installation. Get 30% resistance to all elemental damage. Now, that's kind of useful, that one. That's probably one of the better perks currently on the game, because it's passive. So, you know, it's always active, and you get 30% resistance to elemental damage. Now, that is kind of useful. It's useful in a number of different ways. So, elemental damage counts like frost damage, fire damage, and that can be fire damage from exploders, things like that. And also the toxic damage that, like a lot of plants that you might, like the Tyrant Weed, or even the Mactera will spit at you, or even a Praetorian, the toxic stuff, the acid, that counts as elemental damage. As far as I'm aware here, guys, correct me if I am wrong on this in the comments, but as far as I'm aware, they count as well. So that's kind of useful. So you're taking less damage from the fire, and if you're on like a map where there's magma and things, you're probably going to take a little bit of damage from that. Frost damage, you know, it stops you from being frozen, and if you're playing on like frost maps, Praetorians and that, they will hit you with ice, like an icy breath anyway, so you're taking 30% less damage from that. So it is useful. That is kind of useful, that one. So yeah, that's one of the best ones currently. You've got second wind. You sprint 12% faster after running for 4 seconds. That one would be good, but I just feel like the buff is... It needs a little bit of work. So you can move 12% faster after you run for 4 seconds. I mean, it's not really that big of a boost. 12%, it's only a tiny little bit. And you've got to be sprinting straight on for 4 seconds, which a lot of the time I tend to not do. I don't know, I find myself stopping quite a lot, so I feel like it's not really going to get you anywhere with getting an extra 12% speed boost. I used to use it, but I don't anymore. Born Ready, here's another one that I like to use. So unequipped weapons automatically reload after 5 seconds. Now that can be useful for a number of different classes. So with Born Ready, what you can do is, for example, if I'm talking about the Engineer, let's say you're running the Engineer with the nuke launcher and the smart rifle. You fire the nuke launcher, so you've got one shot grenade launcher, boom, you switch out to your smart rifle. And then you get all the locks, you fire all the locks, you use up your magazine. Time you've used the magazine, you can then switch back to your nuke launcher and it's already instantly reloaded. Because it's been sheathed, put away for, holstered, that's the word I was maybe looking for 4 or 5 seconds. So yeah, it is kind of useful, and it's even useful on things like the Scout. Like you can see, I've got it on the Scout currently because I'm running the Nuck 17s, the auto pistols with embedded detonators. Now, the way I normally use that is I will use the embedded detonators to take out things like Praetorians, things like oppressors, really, really quickly and really, really easily. So what I'll do is I'll jump over them, unload all those embedded detonators into the back of them, kill them, switch back to my assault rifle, and then you can forget about reloading your auto pistols, get back into the fight, kill all the smaller bugs, things like that. And then the next time a Praetorian comes around, or an oppressor, or something like that, your guns are reloaded. You can just forget about them. You just don't worry about reloading them. So it's really, really useful. And it's useful, like I said, on a number of different builds, really. It's just got a nice ability to have to reload your secondary weapons without you having to worry about them. So it's quite useful. It's a bug thing. Here's the next one. This one I find pretty pointless. If I'm totally honest, guys, I find this one pretty pointless. It's kind of fun, but it's really, if you're trying to build like a build that is actually useful, a practical build, it's kind of useless. Because you need to get within 5 meters of a loot bug, they explode, they give you all the loot inside them. Really, at the end of the day, I think if you're within 5 meters, because 5 meters isn't that much, if you're within 5 meters of a loot bug, just hit it. Just hit it with your pickaxe. You're basically right there. 5 meters is nothing, you're near enough right next to the thing. So, I think it's kind of pointless. I think it's just a bit of a fun one, that one. Which is fair enough. You don't really need to do anything with that, but the point of this video, like I said, guys, is I'm just trying to show off the fact that a lot of the perks, I think there needs to be more perks, there needs to be more choice, because a lot of them are very niche. Moving on to Fawns, this one I find extremely useful, and I think this is probably one of the most useful perks in the game, and I think it's probably one of the most used perks in the game. So basically, target hits you in close combat, they take 24 damage, simple as that. Nice and easy, and that's really useful when you're fighting loads of swarmers, because you can sort of ignore them. As long as there's not too many of them. They hit you, they die. 24 damage is enough to kill a swarmer on any difficulty. So, swarmer hits you, dead. Simple as that. Nice and easy. I love it. Fawns is great. I don't use it all the time, but I think it's got to be one of the most used perks in the game. I see loads of people running Fawns, so yeah, nothing to complain about Fawns. And then we come to the active perks. Now, there's a problem with the active perks. I find them to be a little bit more niche than the passive ones, personally, because some of them have limited uses. And yeah, that's my kind of issue with them, the fact that they are niche and they have a limited number of uses as well on top of it. So it makes it even more niche. So starting with Berserker, active, this one is not a limited number of uses. Go Berserk for 10 seconds, during which you get boosted melee damage as a lightning fast pickaxe power attack. Useful, sort of. Cools down after 4 minutes. That's a bit of a time limit to wait for it to cool down. So honestly, I'm not a big fan of it. 4 minutes is quite a while. and you only get it for 10 seconds. Now, 10 seconds and then wait 4 minutes, that's a bit of a wait for a 10-second buff. And let's be honest, you get boosted melee damage, yeah, that's useful, and a power attack. But if you're in close combat with loads of bugs, they're going to do loads of damage to you. You don't want to be in close combat. You want to be away. Like, the only way I could see Berserker to be useful, and maybe a bit more, or less niche, I should say, is if Ghost Ship introduced a 5th class. Now, this 5th class would be a support class, and one that relies on melee weapons. Like, they come with a ginormous lightning hammer or something like that. They don't have ranged weapons. That would be cool. I would really like to see that, a 5th class that does not rely on guns. That would be really, really, really cool. Maybe they have, obviously you can't just have it never run out of like ammo, because it would be broken in comparison to other classes. So maybe have the weapon have a durability meter, and once it reaches 0, you do no damage or something like that, and then when you get a resupply pod, it repairs it. Just something to think about there. But yeah, as it is, Berserker, I just think the cooldown is just too much for a 10-second buff. It's just not worth it. Field Medic, this has a passive ability. Now, this one is not too bad. This one's actually kind of okay. So the passive ability is that you revive teammates 30% faster. That's good. That's good. That's not amazing, but it's not bad. Reviving them 30% faster, nice and easy. Constant ability, never runs out. Nice. And it says, upon reviving someone, nearby enemies flee. That's a nice little buff to that as well. That's good, yeah. And then you've also got the active one. So this one is one of those ones where you can only use it once. So once per mission, you can get a downed teammate instantly back on their feet. Now, that part I don't really care for, because you can get them up instantly, but with the 30% boost, you can get them up pretty quick anyway. And you can only use it once, that instant back on the feet part, so I think that's kind of I don't really care too much for that bit. I would only take that for the passive abilities, really. Iron Will we've already covered. Heightened Senses. Now this is another one with a passive ability to it. The passive part is not really all that useful, however the active part is, which is something that a lot of these perks do not have. So the passive part of it is an early warning system when a creature is about to grab you. Leech comes down from the ceiling, Mactera Grabber, the Nemesis, anything like that, you get a little warning, and you know when it's going to come and grab you. Now, that's really, really useful for getting out of the way of things. And now, what I'm going to say with Heightened Senses as well is if you don't have Heightened Senses, not only don't you get that warning, but if it grabs you, you're dead. You're dead. They don't let go of you. You die. That's it. I mean, the Mactera things, they drop you eventually, I think, but the leeches, I do not think drop you. And I don't know about the Nemesis, because I've never actually been on a Nemesis long enough to find out. So not only do you not get that warning, but they grab you, you die instantly. Because the second part of Heightened Senses is an active ability which you can use twice per mission. You can escape after being grabbed, which is good. That is really good. A leech grabs you, picks you up. Normally you'd be dead. Nope. You get an early warning, so you might be able to avoid it anyway. But if you do get grabbed, twice during a mission, you can just break free and kill the captor as well, which is really, really nice. And it recharges after 5 seconds. So there's a nice little bit there. So yeah, Heightened Senses is good. Shield Link. Now again, this is one of those perks that I feel like it would be really good if it had a better range. So the passive part of it is whenever you're within 4 meters of a teammate, your shield recharges 50% quicker. Now that's useful. That is very useful. But you have to be within 4 meters. You literally have to be giving them a dwarven hug. You need to literally be like at beard's length to for that to do anything. That is absolutely insane. 4 meters is nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's a useful ability. 50% recharge. That is great. But you've got to literally be hugging them. So that's the bit I can't get behind, and that's why I don't really use Shield Link. I do occasionally, but it's not great. And then it's got an active ability, which is you can overcharge a teammate's shield to 300% for 30 seconds. Now that's kind of useful, and you can use that once every 2 minutes, and it doesn't have a number of uses, which is good. So 2-minute cooldown, I still think it's a bit on the high side, but it's not terrible. So that's a lot better. You get a 30-second time. Sorry, it lasts for 30 seconds this time, and it recharges after 2 minutes. It's a lot better than a 10-second buff, and then having to wait 4 minutes. So that one I can get behind a little bit more. Moving on to Dash, get out of trouble with a short burst of speed. This one is an active perk. There is no passive to it. Just kind of nice. You can just dash and get out of the way of things, which is kind of useful. You can always combo that with heightened senses, because that way if you do get the early warning, you can just dash, get out of the way, don't get grabbed. But also early warning system, or sorry, heightened senses can also combo with Iron Will quite nicely, because that way if you have used 2 of your escapes and you don't get away from it in time, and you get downed, or you get picked up by a leech, it's going to kill you, so you can just use Iron Will and get back on your feet. So you could combo those two together, but also heightened senses can also combo with dash as well. So you can get that short burst, get out of the way, not get grabbed. And it also says while dashing you ignore all slowdown effects, which is kind of nice. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. Recharges after 25 seconds. Now I think this dash one, personally, like, it's not massively useful. I think it needs to have something like maybe a 15-second cooldown or something like that, because 25 seconds is quite a while for just getting a little burst of speed. It seems, I don't know, maybe I'm the only person that thinks that here, but I think 25 seconds for just getting a little dash is a bit much. But, hey ho, it is what it is. I don't really use it, so it is what it is. Moving on to Beastmaster. Now this one is one that gets used quite a lot. I see a lot of people using this one. It's kind of useful, but not terribly. So what you do is you activate it, you charm a Glyphid Grunt, or Slasher, or something like that, and it basically becomes your pet and will attack things for you. It gets a 300% damage increase as well, so it can kill things fairly quickly. Useful, but not massively useful, especially for the way I play, because a lot of the time you will watch your little buddy run over to the you'll see a little Glyphid Grunt buddy run over to the target, and by the time he gets there you've already killed the target. But it is nice to sort of it can sort of stop bugs advancing on you. If there's too many, you can use him as like a sort of meat shield, so it is kind of okay. It's not terrible. 5-minute cooldown, yeah, that's fair enough. I wouldn't be, I mean, maybe it's a bit much. But 5 minutes, it's not awful. And, you do get something permanent out of it until he dies. So, yeah, it's not too bad. Moving on to See You in Hell. So this has got a passive ability. Right after an enemy hits you with a melee attack, you get a temporary melee damage bonus. Now, this one can combo with Berserker, the first one we mentioned. So this one here, it can combo with that, and you can get a massive melee damage boost. Again, it's not that useful because it's melee damage. It's melee, and you're relying on your pickaxe. First of all, you're in close combat, which is where all the bugs are gonna want to be, because that's how a lot of the bugs operate. They want to get in close combat, so you're gonna take a load of damage. So yeah, and also, I mean, your pickaxe isn't exactly, you can't really like kill loads of enemies in one go. I mean, I suppose you could if you just keep spamming your power ability, but it's not like it's, this game is not designed around close combat. Really, you want to be at range. Simple as that. You don't want to be right up next to oppressors, right up next to dreadnoughts, right up next to exploders, whatever. So it's not really all that useful, but it's kind of useful. So anyway, yeah, you get the melee damage buff if you get hit by a enemy, which is kind of useful. It's passive as well, which is not bad. And then you also get 3 activate versions of this. You get the ability to, well, it says 3 times each mission you can trigger a large neuropulse explosion after you go down. Sorry, I knew. I'll start this again. It's too much to read. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just break it down. So basically, you get that little neural explosion, which will electrocute things after you go down, and that's 3 times you can use a mission. Kind of useful. Sort of. I mean, what you could do is you could combo that with Iron Will as well. So if you go down, you can electrocute things, get back up, pickaxe, slam all the grunts in the area, kill them, and then you'll be totally fine. So it's kind of got a use for it, but not massively. And that has a 1-minute cooldown on that. So yeah, it's not awful, but it's not great. Again, very niche. Going back to what I was saying earlier, it's very, very niche. Now, Hover Boots is one of those perks that I feel like if you've played the game long enough, you won't need. I think that's just one of those perks that you just don't need. It's just not got a use, really, after you've used the Scout enough. I think it's only useful on the Scout, really. And I think after a long enough time, you just won't need it. So you just activate it. You hover in the air for 3.5 seconds, and it has a 75-second cooldown. You can use it as many times as you want. Simple as that. Now, I find that to be only useful for the Scout, really, because, you know, you grapple up to some stuff on the ceiling, some minerals or something. You drop, you activate the ability, you hover, you smash the minerals up. Or if you misjudge a jump or something, and then you can just use the hover ability. So it's kind of useful, but I find it only to be useful for the Scout. And again, you can work around that. You don't really need the hover boots. So yeah, I think it's kind of one of those niche, like, extremely niche ones. But it does have the, what's the words? It does have the thing going for it that it is a permanent one. It doesn't just have 3 uses, so it's kind of got its uses. But, yeah, they're all the perks, guys. Now, like I was saying, I think this game suffers from having perks that are very unusable, sort of. You need to be in very specific circumstances for them to work and things like that. Now, what I would love to see from Ghost Ship, if you do Season 4, I think we've had new equipment, okay? We've had new grenades and things like that. We've had new guns and everything added already. We've had new cosmetics. I would love to see more perks. I would absolutely love to see more perks. Things like maybe increase your, like, deeper pockets for your ammunition and things like that, so you can carry, like, another 20% ammo or something like that. You know, that would be the kind of stuff that I would like to see. Or maybe reduce recoil, like a sharpshooter perk, and it makes it so it reduces the recoil of your gun by like 15% or something like that. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff I would like to see. Now, maybe they're looking at it and going, that could be a bit broken for certain classes. That's fair enough. Then maybe make an extra few perks down here. Oh, sorry. I will quickly move my little camera out of the way there. Maybe make a few perks down here, like extend it and have class-specific perks that you can use. So that way, you know, let's say, for example, you've got something like reduce recoil by 20%. And it's good on, or useful on a Scout, but it's broken on, I don't know. I'm only just throwing things out here, guys. Let's just say it's useful on a Scout, but it's broken on the Gunner. Okay, fine. So don't give that to the Gunner. Just have that as a, just have it as a class-specific one. Have the Scout be able to get it, but the Gunner not. Just an idea. Just throwing it out there. But, yeah, all that said, guys, like I said, I'm not giving the game crap. I'm just saying that I think this section here needs work. I think the perks are just kind of overlooked, and the reason they're overlooked, actually they're overlooked by, I think, the community, to be fair, because they're not really all that useful. They're very niche. I think if I took these all off, I would probably still play the same way. I don't think it would really affect my play style that much, so, you know, I think they're overlooked by a lot of people because they're very, very niche, and a lot of people just don't really care too much for them. Some people even forget they're even there, and I think that's the reason, because the perks just don't really do much for you. It's all about the guns and you know, the tier side of things here. Like, these are useful, but these not so much. So yeah, I'm just hoping that maybe in Season 4 we will see some sort of update to these. But yeah, no, that's really it, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and, you know, if you disagree with me, let me know, and let me know why. Let me know why exactly, and let me also know what kind of perks you would run and how you would combo them and how you would use them and things like that, because it'd be interesting to see if maybe it is just that each perk individually is worthless, but they combo nicely together. So I don't know. But yeah, like I said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.